I realised that whatever was coming was not going to be particularly good news.
Annie's most memorable MS conversation.
Hello, my name is Annie Jones. I was diagnosed with primary progressive MS at the end of 2006. Received the diagnosis in a fairly unusual way, I think. I'd had symptoms at that point of something for about 20 years. I'd received various different diagnoses, some of which were probably correct, but nothing had really helped greatly, and if anything, the symptoms were getting worse. I went for a regular appointment, and when I got there, it was a different doctor, not the doctor I usually saw. He spent a long time with me. He asked me an awful lot of questions. He'd obviously gone through my notes quite carefully, and at the end of it all, he told me that he didn't think that I had any of the things that I'd been diagnosed with. He had a theory. He wanted to send me for a scan and do some other tests. Fine, you know. And within about 3 weeks, I'd had a scan, I'd had some blood tests. I was back to see him again. Waiting in the waiting room, I watched people being called through by the nurse. But when it came to my turn, it was the doctor that came out. He came over to me, asked me if I was on my own, which I was, or if I wanted to call somebody, which I didn't. Took me through into his room, asked me if I wanted tea or coffee. And I'm not claiming to be the quickest person on the uptake, but I realised that whatever was coming was not going to be particularly good news. He went into a bit of an introduction, and I said, you know, are you working up to telling me that you think I've got multiple sclerosis? And yes, he was. He said he couldn't confirm the diagnosis because he wasn't a neurologist, and he would be referring me through to a neurologist. But my history and the scan, they were both consistent with the diagnosis of MS. He didn't bundle me out. We sat quietly for a while. He answered all my questions. He showed me the scan and explained what the white blobs in my brain and my spinal cord were. He showed a lot of empathy. He showed a lot of emotional intelligence, I felt. At the end of the conversation, walking away back to my car, what I felt was relief and also appreciation. Over 40 years, I've had an awful lot of conversations with healthcare professionals. Sometimes I've felt heard, sometimes I've not felt heard, sometimes I've felt angry. I've had to advocate for myself and others. But when I think about all the interactions over the last 40 years, it's that one back in 2006 that stands out in my mind. The main thing about it was that I really felt he listened, that he was interested, and that, you know, he gave a damn, really. I never saw him again, but when I think about him now, I remember his kindness. But it makes me smile. Even within everything that was happening, within the reality of being told I had MS and what that meant, there was humour, and I found that helpful. Not all my interactions with healthcare professionals have been so positive, but that one's a little shining star in its own way.
Find support for your MS conversations at mssociety.org.uk/ms-conversations.